Hi friends, did you ever come across a huge project or a huge work or an event being undertaken around you? For example, if you are a student, a school annual event or a sports event, if you are at a workplace, a multi-million dollar project, in a social circumstances, a social initiative or a campaign. Do you come across any such event or an activity being undertaken, a huge project being undertaken? Well, have you thought of being part of such a huge project or an initiative by volunteering? Or do you contemplate that will my services be of any use? Because it's a huge project. How can I contribute there? Do you end up contemplating? My friends, if you want to build an absolute personality, learn to volunteer. Volunteer like a squirrel who helped to build a bridge. Well, you must be wondering how the squirrel could help build a bridge. Do you want to know that story? Let's look into it. This goes back to the ancient times of Ramayana when Lord Rama was building a bridge over the sea, across the sea to Lanka to rescue Mother Sita. And all the Vanara army has been helping him to build this bridge. The Vanara army has been moving mountains, huge rocks. They're putting all of them into shape and then building this bridge. All this work was going on. It's a huge project being undertaken. While this all was going, one day a small tiny squirrel was spotted over that bridge. This squirrel was going back and forth to the seashore and coming back onto the bridge being built, onto the rocks. All it was doing is basically it is carrying some sand with him and then trying to help the gaps being filled between the rocks. And it could start as small, as tiny as particles, and over a period of time it was a heap it could build. Now looking at this, the Vanara army started making fun out of this squirrel. You tiny little squirrel, you're coming in our way. What are you doing here? The squirrel said, I'm helping build this bridge. Then they laughed at him. They made fun out of him. They were furious at him, saying that, no, get out of our way. You tiny little, you can't do anything here. That's how Vanara army reacted towards the squirrel. Now Lord Rama observed this whole incident and came forward and took that squirrel into his hand and told the Vanara army, look my dear friends, you have been doing a very good work. You have been working hard. It's very important. Without you this bridge cannot be built. But have you noticed the small tiny particles of sand the squirrel was carrying from the seashore back and forth? That sand is actually filling those small gaps between the rocks. So little things matter, my friends. Never ridicule, never criticize, never undermine anyone's effort, be it small or big. Keep that in mind. And as he was impressed with the gesture of the squirrel helping with the sand, he stroked on the back of the squirrel, and the squirrel was happy. It felt very happy with that gesture. Now if you look at in this story, there are two things that we could understand. One, if you want to build an absolute personality, first learn to volunteer like a squirrel, how it did in this story. Number two, little things that does matter. It doesn't matter how small activity or how small the task you're performing. It matters, it contributes, and it will deserve accomplishment. It will deserve appreciation, and it will be appreciated, and it should be appreciated. And at the same time, from the Vanara army standpoint, don't ridicule, don't criticize, don't undermine, don't make fun out of people who are contributing in small tiny little tasks, because each task counts. It is not a huge project or a big event cannot be done only by a handful of people. Every bits and pieces of work matters. That's why we call it as little things matter. My friends, When you find an opportunity around you, don't hide out, don't shy away. Volunteer and contribute according to your capacity, according to your potential. It will matter, it will be appreciated. If you want to build an absolute personality, learn to volunteer. Learn to volunteer like the squirrel in the story who helped to build a bridge. Thank you.